What if I told you that high-value men don't beg to be missed? They engineer it. Not through words, not through neediness, but through powerful psychological shifts that make a woman crave them when they're gone. Welcome back to Behavior Insight, where we break down the psychology of power, presence, and attraction. Today, we're diving into the real reason women miss certain men so badly it keeps them up at night, while others are forgotten in days. And it has nothing to do with looks, money, or how many times you text "good morning." It's about value, and more importantly, the perception of it. Let's break down the 10 subtle yet potent things high-value men do that make women miss them deeply, sometimes even after they were the ones who walked away. 1. High-value men leave a psychological imprint. A high-value man understands something most average men never learn. Attention fades, but emotional impact lingers. He doesn't just want to be noticed, he wants to be remembered. And to do that, he makes sure that every interaction leaves a deep psychological imprint. How does he do that? He makes her feel something: excitement, curiosity, respect, challenge, inspiration. Something that isn't generic or forgettable. He's not trying to impress her with shallow compliments or flashy gestures. Instead, he shows her a version of herself she didn't know existed, smarter, more seen, more alive. That emotional transformation is powerful. It builds an association in her brain. When I was with him, I felt something intense, something rare. And the moment he's gone, she starts replaying it in her mind. It becomes a loop. The moments, the feelings, the way he made her think differently. This is where most men fall short. They focus on being liked. High-value men focus on being felt. Think about it. When you eat a plain meal, you forget it within minutes. But when you have a dish that surprises you, something bold, layered, different, it sticks with you. That's exactly what a high-value man does emotionally. He layers his personality with mystery, presence, and purpose. He doesn't need to talk constantly or overshare. He speaks less, but when he does, it hits. He uses silence with intention. He's mindful, deliberate, and grounded, all of which communicate immense value. And most importantly, he doesn't seek her validation. Instead, he allows her to wonder about his. That alone flips the script in her head. Suddenly, it's not about whether she likes him. It's about whether he sees her as worthy of his time. That reversal creates emotional tension, and tension creates memory. She walks away from each moment with him slightly off balance, intrigued and eager for more. That's the beginning of emotional addiction. When you create that kind of psychological footprint, when your absence makes her reflect more than your presence ever begged, you win the one game most men lose, the game of being missed. Because it's not about chasing her attention, it's about leaving an impression so strong that your silence echoes louder than anyone else's presence. 2. They know when to withdraw their presence. One of the greatest misunderstandings men have about attraction is the idea that more presence equals more connection. That if you're constantly around, constantly texting, constantly checking in, a woman will feel more bonded to you. But in reality, that behavior often backfires. High-value men understand that space is a secret weapon. They know the timing of their absence can be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than their presence. Why? Because when a woman is used to hearing from you every day, seeing you constantly, or knowing you'll always respond instantly, her brain adapts. She begins to expect it. And once something becomes expected, it loses its emotional impact. Now, contrast that with a man who withdraws intentionally, not out of game playing, but out of purpose. A man who disappears to build, to focus, to grow, not to punish or provoke. His absence doesn't feel like abandonment, it feels like mystery. And mystery is what hooks the feminine mind. See, the female brain is wired to seek understanding, to close loops. When you suddenly pull back, not with coldness, but with emotional composure, you create an open loop. She starts to wonder, where is he? What's he thinking? Is he still interested? That curiosity becomes fuel. That uncertainty becomes attraction. This is why unpredictability, in small doses, creates massive emotional investment. When she can't quite put her finger on you, when she can't confidently say she has you fully figured out, she starts thinking about you. A lot. Psychologically, it taps into the same reward mechanism as gambling. It's not the constant wins that make people addicted. It's the uncertain wins, the maybe, the what if. When she's unsure of your full availability, her brain releases dopamine in anticipation of reconnecting. That anticipation is what makes her miss you. But here's the important nuance. High-value men don't withdraw to manipulate. They withdraw because they have lives, missions, standards. They're not always available because they're genuinely busy being men of purpose. And when a woman senses that, when she sees that your absence isn't about her, but about your drive, she doesn't get angry. She gets intrigued. She starts wondering what you're up to. And when she doesn't get the answer right away, that's when she starts missing you deeply. So don't be afraid of creating space. Let her feel your silence. Let her wonder about your day. Give her the chance to miss you, because if you're always there, she'll never need to. Presence is powerful, but only when it's not overused. High-value men know when to step back. And it's that discipline, that calm pull-away, that makes a woman realize just how much she craves their return. 3. They master the art of non-attachment. Attachment makes you needy. Non-attachment makes you powerful. High-value men understand this difference better than anyone. It's not that they don't care, it's that they refuse to cling. And that emotional detachment is exactly what makes women crave their presence and miss them intensely when they're gone. When you're attached, you operate from fear. Fear of losing her, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. That fear leaks out in the form of over-explaining, over-texting, over-analyzing, and worst of all, over-chasing. And when a woman senses this fear, she doesn't feel flattered. She feels repelled. But non-attachment, that's the posture of a man who knows his worth. A man who can walk away at any time, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. A man who doesn't tie his value to her attention. And that mindset, that's intoxicating to a woman. Psychologically, it creates a vacuum. When you don't chase, she begins to wonder why. When you don't overreact to her pulling away, she starts questioning her grip on you. And when she can't figure it out, that's when she starts thinking about you more, even when you're not around. Women don't miss men who constantly seek validation. They miss the men who don't need it. Because non-attachment communicates something powerful. I'm here because I choose to be, not because I have to be. That choice, that freedom, makes you high value. You stop becoming the man who's desperately trying to hold on, and instead become the man she's afraid to lose. That subtle shift changes everything. Your silence becomes louder. Your absence becomes more noticeable. Your energy becomes addictive. So stop thinking you have to prove yourself constantly. You don't. The man who can enjoy a woman's company without needing her approval is the man who will be remembered long after the others are forgotten. Detach from the outcome. Focus on your mission. Let her miss you because you weren't trying to possess her. You were too busy mastering yourself. 4. They leave her better than they found her. The average guy takes. He wants something, validation, attention, intimacy, and he tries to extract it. But a high-value man? He gives something first, and not just material things. He gives an experience, one that leaves her better than she was before he entered her life. That's the man women remember, the one who challenged her thinking, the one who showed her something new, the one who made her laugh when she needed it or inspired her when she was stuck. He left a positive emotional impact, and that's something the feminine mind deeply bonds to. Psychologists call this the peak end rule. It states that people remember experiences based on how they felt at the peak and at the end. High-value men create emotional peaks. They leave the kind of last impression that keeps echoing in her mind long after they're gone. So instead of focusing on taking her out or impressing her with surface-level charm, high-value men ask deeper questions. They listen with presence. They mirror her values and expand her vision. In doing so, they create a relationship, even a brief one, that feels transformative. And that transformation, that feeling of personal growth or emotional elevation, that's what she'll chase. Because once a woman feels expanded by a man's energy, no casual connection can compare. No one else quite hits the same way. No one else leaves the same warmth or inspiration behind. That's how you get missed, not by being flashy, but by being impactful. Give her the gift of emotional resonance, and you won't need to beg for her attention. She'll come back just to feel that again. 5. They create emotional contrast. Comfort is safe, predictable, boring. High-value men know this. That's why they don't stay in the nice guy zone where everything is agreeable and smooth. They create contrast, emotional highs and lows. Not chaos, but complexity. See, the female brain is wired for stimulation, emotional stimulation. That's why women are drawn to stories, drama, and nuance. A high-value man taps into that psychology, not by being toxic, but by being real. He's bold enough to disagree, calm enough to hold tension, confident enough to be playful and serious at the right times. He's not afraid to tease, to challenge her opinions, to flirt with edge. This unpredictability makes the interaction dynamic and memorable. And when emotions run high, even in small doses, the memory sticks deeper. This is called emotional anchoring. When you attach strong emotions to an interaction, it becomes difficult to forget. So when he's gone, she doesn't just remember what he said, she remembers how he made her feel, alive, curious, excited. So while other guys are trying to be safe and likable, the high-value man isn't afraid to be real. He doesn't dilute his personality. He doesn't avoid friction. He uses contrast, light and dark, playful and deep, to create an experience that she feels at every level. And that experience, that contrast, that's what she'll be craving when the silence sets in. 6. They don't overshare or over-explain. Mystery isn't about manipulation, it's about magnetism. High-value men don't feel the need to dump their life story in the first conversation. They understand that the human brain is wired to chase partial answers. When you reveal just enough to intrigue, but not enough to satisfy, you create a gap, a psychological tension, and people will fill that gap with imagination, curiosity, and desire. That's what happens when a woman encounters a man who doesn't overshare. He's not cold, he's just composed. He answers questions but doesn't volunteer everything. He shares moments, not monologues, and that makes every word matter more. Think about it. Which book are you more excited to read? The one where you know the ending from page 1, or the one that leaves clues and makes you think? Women are no different. They don't want everything up front. They want to discover a man slowly, layer by layer. And when you disappear, even temporarily, that mystery amplifies. She replays old conversations, wondering what you really meant. She questions the silence, and in that questioning, she misses you. So stop thinking your value is in overselling. It's not. It's in knowing that silence, when used wisely, says more than 1,000 words ever could. 7. They operate from purpose, not validation. There's nothing more attractive than a man on a mission, a man who wakes up with direction, who's not just working hard, but working towards something. That kind of energy is rare, and women feel it. High-value men don't orbit around women, they orbit around purpose. And when a woman enters their world, she's not the center of it, she's a part of it. That shift is massive. It tells her, I value you, but I don't need you to feel whole. This isn't about ego, it's about identity. A man with a mission is grounded, and that groundedness creates emotional safety and mystery, because she knows if she leaves, he won't collapse. He'll keep building, keep growing, keep moving forward. And that realization, that's what makes her miss him. Not because she thinks he'll chase her, but because she knows he won't. He'll be too focused on his path, and suddenly she's the one questioning her place in his life. So if you want to be missed, don't make her your purpose. Make your purpose so powerful that she wants to chase it. 8. They're selective with their time and attention. Scarcity creates value. It's one of the most fundamental psychological principles of desire. The less available something is, the more people want it. And high-value men live by this. They're not always available, not because they're playing hard to get, but because they're genuinely busy living life. They're building careers, hitting the gym, deepening their mindset, leading their communities. So when they give time or attention to a woman, it's not casual, it's a conscious investment. And that's what makes the experience of being with them feel so different. When you're used to guys blowing up your phone, offering free validation every day, and never missing a text, someone who's selective suddenly feels special. His attention becomes a reward, not an expectation. This is where most men mess up. They think consistency means over-availability, but high-value men understand the difference between showing up and overextending. They don't cancel important plans for a last-minute date. They don't text all day because they know that constant texting kills tension. Instead, they create space. They let anticipation build. They allow her mind to fill in the blanks. When you give someone space to wonder, you give them space to miss you. This is what makes his presence feel like a privilege, not a possession. She doesn't feel entitled to his time. She feels grateful for it. And that gratitude creates an emotional bond. She starts to see him not as just another guy, but as a man who values his time so much that he makes her rise to meet it. When he's not around, she starts to feel the difference. She notices the absence, and not because he ghosted her or played games, but because his energy was so intentional that its disappearance feels loud. The takeaway is simple. Don't flood her with attention. Make every moment count. Let your time be earned, not just given. Because when your presence becomes rare, your absence becomes painful. And that's how you get remembered. 9. They make her laugh and think. A high-value man isn't just emotionally grounded, he's mentally stimulating. He's witty, he's curious. He knows how to take a conversation from playful to profound in seconds, and that ability to spark laughter and introspection is what makes a woman truly feel his presence. Most guys are either too serious or too goofy, but the high-value man strikes a perfect balance. He can joke around and still drop wisdom. He doesn't fear deep conversations. In fact, he invites them, because he knows that emotional depth creates long-lasting desire. Why is this important? Because women remember how you made them feel. And if you're the guy who could make her laugh until she cried and challenge her beliefs in the same breath, you're not just a fling. You become an experience. This is called dual emotional anchoring, triggering multiple strong emotions at once. Laughter lowers her guard. Thoughtfulness opens her heart. Combine the two, you create a connection that's nearly impossible to replace. When a high-value man shares his ideas, he doesn't preach. He provokes. He asks better questions. He encourages her to think bigger, feel deeper, and grow stronger. And that's what she misses most when he's gone. Not just the jokes, but the feeling of being expanded. He becomes her favorite conversation, her mental escape, the one she compares every other man to, and none of them measure up. That's the power of being emotionally intelligent and mentally engaging. So don't just be funny, don't just be deep, be both. Because when you stimulate a woman's mind and heart, she won't just want you back, she'll need you back. 10. They end interactions with intention, not closure. Here's the final, and arguably most powerful, move a high-value man makes. He doesn't close every door. He doesn't over-explain, over-apologize, or beg for understanding. He ends things with grace, but with mystery. And that lack of closure, that's what haunts her. See, the human brain craves resolution. We want to finish stories, we want to know why. But when something ends suddenly, without the full picture, it loops in our minds. We replay it, we analyze it, we wonder if we missed something. High-value men understand this. So when they walk away, they do so cleanly, not cruelly, not coldly, but without handing her every answer. They don't give her the emotional satisfaction of wrapping everything up neatly. They leave just enough unsaid for her to think about it for days, weeks, even months. It's not about being toxic. It's about being undeniably human. When you don't give someone the full closure they think they want, you allow them to feel. And that feeling, confusion, nostalgia, longing, creates memory. She starts to miss the conversations you never finished, the plans you didn't get to make, the words you almost said. That absence becomes louder than any breakup speech ever could be. This is the final stamp of a high-value man. He leaves the story open, and in doing so, he becomes the chapter she keeps flipping back to, wondering how it might have ended differently. High-value men don't manipulate women into missing them. They become unforgettable by living in a way that no one else can replicate. Through presence, purpose, mystery, and emotional depth, they leave behind an echo. Not every woman will miss you, but the ones who felt your energy, really felt it, will never forget it. And that, my friend, is the psychology of desire.